All right, so we've now started recording. So thank you and welcome everybody. I'm Susana Hands. I head up the whole franchise sales team. For those of you who haven't met me, there is a few of us sitting in this particular department. Our role is to speak to you as you come in, and we guide you through the whole process of pretty much stepping you through along the way, giving you access to all of our franchisees, answering any questions you may have, and facilitating a whole heap of information that potentially we can't share all in the one hit, otherwise it's very overwhelming. A bit of housekeeping today. So today is all about speaking with our franchisee, and Andrew Teston is one of our franchisees, and I'll get him to talk about himself and who he is and what he does. But he also is our head trainer who trains every single one of our franchisees that comes into Resicert. So the purpose of this virtual meeting is to hear from a franchisee, learn his story, learn the day-to-day, and what does it look like to be a Resicert franchisee. If you wish to learn more about specific information about the investment, what do you get for the investment, anything to do with the actual franchise opportunity, we're going to break off after this, and we will have one-on-one meetings where I can answer any questions in regards to the actual business opportunity. Today is purely to hear from Andrew and obviously ask as many questions as you want. I'm conscious of everyone's time, but depends on how many questions we get. We may go a little bit over. We are recording this session, so if you do have to leave right on 5:30, we're still going through questions, we will record this and send this out to you. If you do have any specific questions, please put that in the chat box, and I will go through the question, the event. So that we can ask as many questions, and Andrew can pretty much do most of the talking. So that is it from me. Over to you, Andrew. Please tell us a bit about yourself, your journey, how long you've been with Resicert, and explain what made you join us.
Sure. Thanks for asking me to attend today. It's a good opportunity to have a chat about our business as such. I've been I'm just started my 8th year with Resicert, finished seven years, done over 3,500 inspections. I decided to join the business at that time. I was running my own building maintenance business and decided on a change. Plus we were moving suburbs in Brisbane from one side of town to the other, so I didn't want to continue my existing business. So I have a background in building and also multi-site management previously with some large businesses. So for me, coming into the inspection business was a very good fit. Enjoyed the process so far. Coming from my own business, we got tied up a lot with the workings behind the scenes, such as billing and invoicing and then chasing people for money. That's one of the side benefits of a franchise that we found attractive. I was sick of doing that, really. So Resicert does all that for us and has the procedures and invoicing and the policies and everything in there that makes that part of our journey quite simple, and we don't need to get involved in that on a daily basis. We're aware when people pay for their inspections and whatnot, they basically don't get the report until it's paid for through our automated system, which works very seamlessly. That's really where I'm at. In the national training role, I mentor the guys as they come into the business, and we develop people along. We have expertise in that area. It was quite interesting for me because I'd been in large corporates managing roles previously, and then in my own business, I had no experience at all in franchise. So to me, it was quite a good fit because, as I said before, franchises have policies and procedures in place for obvious reasons. And those policies and procedures have worked for previous franchisees. So therefore, people that come into our business, if they follow those procedures, it normally works well for them. And that's what I found to be quite good in the early stages of starting your own business. So yeah, that gives you a bit of a background.
So Andrew, tell us about what has been your biggest challenges so far coming in or being part of Resicert.
I suppose the biggest challenge of starting any new business is getting some customers and getting some sales in to get the work flowing in, and we do that specifically by relationship building. Anybody that's been in business before knows it's all about the relationships. People have to have a relationship with you before they can know, like, and trust you to refer business. The inspection business is a very hard business to market. So within your own franchise marketing territory, you get out and about and you meet agents. We have a set procedure to do that makes the initial contact quite seamless, and then allows you to build on the relationship to find people you can know, like, and trust to work with. I found that quite daunting to start with, but once you got into the flow of it and thought about the process that you are going out there to meet people you can like rather than marketing your business, it seemed to flow quite well for myself, yeah. And I can see the franchisees that I help in that process through their mentoring as they join, they enjoy that process too. So yeah.
So what other ways do you get leads? Is it just referral partners? Is there other methods, or what other ways is it?
Most of our leads come from the relationships that we build up in the marketplace, such as real estate agents. Each state is different in relation to the more successful lead generation people. Some states are heavily reliant on conveyances, and that's dictated by the purchasing process, really. In my case, it's mainly real estate agents. We also have corporate customers nationally that are buyers agents that regularly buy, and that seems to be increasing regularly as well. Yeah, so it's really agents and relationships that you have worked on. You get a lot from Google My Business, as well, as far as once you're established there and you start getting some flow and you have your reviews and your replies to those reviews, you get a higher presence in your particular area, and a lot of people tend to use that as a good lead generation thing. And it's also word of mouth, because we're quite proud of our reports and how they read and present, and we get a lot of people referring their sister, their friend, their cousin, somebody at work. So word of mouth is a big one for us, being a trusted sort of brand.
And in terms of marketing, how much time, effort and energy do you put into marketing?
Well, myself at the moment, it's probably only about 4 hours a week, but I've been established for over 7 years. When you first start, obviously you don't have a lot of work coming in, so the expectation would be that you're out there marketing. I don't like to refer to it as marketing, I'll refer to it as relationship building. You'd be doing that 35, 40 hours a week to start off, and anyone who's starting a new business, I would think that would be an expectation, really, to do that.
And okay, let's talk about reports. I know that that's been a big question we've been asked all the time. What's it like to do reports? Is there a system? Is it easy to just upload images? What's the process?
So we use a particular software called Home Inspector Pro. So it's basically templates that have written out comments, in particular sections. Like you might have an interior section, then you'll have walls, ceilings, and you just work your way through that. We take a set of photos on site and then upload them to the reports. We're currently in the process of bringing in a mobile app for that, which we're trialing at the moment, which expedites the process. Our time on site varies. Obviously, we inspect a lot of different properties, different styles of properties, and the time on site varies depending on how big the property is, whether it has a subfloor, and those things can lengthen the time on site. If I can say that a normal sort of 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom, double car, garage, low set brick home, anywhere from 3/4 an hour to an hour and a half, depending on what level of inspection we're doing. We have 3 different levels of building, and also how many issues are uncovered during that course of that inspection can lengthen the time on site. Reports can take anywhere from half an hour to an hour, depending again on the style of the property and what issues that has been uncovered. And then, to be able to drill down and see why those issues have occurred too can lengthen things. But all in all, most of our guys are more than capable of doing 3 inspections a day with the reports.
And in terms, let's talk about reporting and obviously inspections. What's the base range of the price range? I know that each state is a little bit different. Is that correct?
Correct. That's correct, yeah. Nationally, it varies because the pricing is dictated by obviously the marketplace price in each state. Queensland I'm in Brisbane, so Queensland sits in the middle of that. Our price ranges, when we talk about inspections, we normally talk about building and pest together because it's a package. Our prices start at $580 for the basic, going up to a plus, which is $780 for a single level home. You can add on pool inspections and subfloors and all those things as well. So that can increase the separate price for each inspection. And there's a few other add-ons there. You can add more money on if it's a second story, but a lot of times that doesn't take that much longer. Definitely the subfloors and those areas do.
And Andrew, do you work on the weekends, and do you find most of franchisees work on the weekends?
I don't think many work on the weekends. We like a lot of the newer franchisees while they're building their business attend open houses on the weekend as part of their relationship building. That's not about us selling our business to them. It's about meeting agents in the field, so you don't have to go into their office and get through that. You're meeting them in their field. If they're busy at an inspection, you just say, "Hi, how you going? Can I catch up with you during the week?" So it's a lot on run around open houses in your marketing territory, just so the agents see that you're out there doing your marketing and stuff. Not many of our guys do inspections on weekends. It's pretty difficult because most agents are busy selling rather than opening for us to do inspections. Yes, there's sometimes if you had a busy week, you might have to catch up on some of your filing or your finalising of your reports, but it's pretty rare. I would imagine that any of our guys do that on a regular basis, weekend working. Definitely when you first start, the Saturday morning or Saturday afternoon thing is probably a good thing to have on board.
And so can you explain to me, how does it work from getting an inspection? How does the process work? How does the inspection come to you? What do you do when you get the inspection or the booking? And then can you walk us through that process, please?
Okay, so inspections come in a few different ways. People can book directly on our website, and they can choose the inspection level they think they need, and then that booking will come through our calendar. We'll look up their calendar and we'll give the client a call to clarify that the inspection they booked is the one they need. If it's not, we can then change that on their booking. From that point on, we then contact the agent to arrange an access time. We would then adjust that in the system to schedule the job in, which the client will then get a notification the job's been scheduled. We would then attend on site with the agent, pick up the keys, whichever the case is. We prefer our clients to come towards the end of the inspection if they're able to, so we can have a chat and go over any items worthy of discussion on site. from that point, the reports are normally guaranteed to be sent within 24 hours. Normally the same day. If I do an inspection this morning, I've done 3 today and done my reports. They're already all sent out. So clients would get them once they're paid on the link. And what happens with that, it's booked through their email. They'll get an email notification of the job with a payment link. They click on the payment link, pay with their credit card, and the report's automatically sent once they're paid. That's a very seamless process, and that's very, very streamlined. People can book online themselves. We can book for them. Some people have agents that ring and want vendor inspections booked, so they can have their own portal to access our system to book their jobs in directly. We would then just schedule the time. That's a very seamless, automated system normally, yeah.
Let's talk about obviously the referral partner. You mentioned that it's about building good referral partners. How do you work with your referral partners? Do you give them a fee, or do they just send work your way because you've built such strong relationships? What are you finding in the network?
I don't personally pay a fee to anyone. I think the corporate clients sometimes get a reduced rate that's negotiated nationally for that. Most of our referrers refer us because we're good at our job. Honestly, that sounds a bit over the top, I suppose, but what I mean by that is that our reports are easy to read, have lots of photos, are very clear in the detail. If anyone engaging in this webinar this afternoon would read through a report from anyone else in the marketplace and read ours, there's a huge difference. And that's not about us thinking we're terrific. It's pretty factual. And our referrers like us because we explain to the client in no threatening terms that there's an issue, it needs to be fixed, this is what you need to do, whatever. And because of the communication's very clear and open with our clients and the agent's client, it's the same client at the end of the day, that they like that open transparency thing, and we're not scaremongering. That's a lot of other people in the marketplace do. So they like our reports, they like the way we do our reports, they like how thorough we are in our inspections, and it's all about the communication, Susana.
No, I totally agree with you. I think people don't need to pay for something that they find value. I think it's just a matter of they like you, they're going to send work out your way. Let's talk a little bit more about, I know this is the million-dollar question all the time, but what are franchisees, what are they making? What's your highest performers doing? What are your mid performers doing, and what your lower performers doing? Can you sort of talk a little bit more about that?
Well, it's all related to a number of inspections, obviously, Susana. And as I touched on before, inspection rates vary. What I could say to you is that the average inspection fee in Queensland is just under the $600 mark. And we have inspectors, some that do 20 inspections a month and others that do 50. So you can work out the numbers from that. I personally do anywhere between 35 and 40 a month, as well as the other things I get involved in. So you can work out the numbers from that.
And how many hours would you average just doing the inspection part of your business in a week?
A week it'd probably be 35 to 40, I'd say, depending on how busy the week is. It's a business that you're not guaranteed to get your 2 a day every day, day in, day out. One day you might have 1, the next day you might have 3. So it really depends on the flow of things. And that's where it's people that come from a salary background or a different business. It takes a while to get accustomed to the fact that it's a variable flow business, depending on the marketplace and how many people are referring you, etc. So that can be unnerving if you sort of wake up Monday morning, you got nothing coming in, and then by Monday night you might have 5 jobs booked for the week already. So it's a fairly common thing, yeah.
So explain to us about another big question I get asked is, do I need experience to do this? Do I have to have background experience in the industry? Do you train me to do everything? Am I going to be knowledgeable to be able to run this successfully?
I think the experience people need is to have some good interpersonal skills so they can walk and talk or converse with people and build those relationships. Our training is fairly comprehensive in relation to providing you with the knowledge you need to do the job. That's the e-learning training, and then you normally come to myself or one of our other trainers to do the on-site training, which is a 2-week process. You do a number of inspections over a 2-week period. And then once you go out on your own, the training continues because we have a regimented report checking process to check the reports for errors, punctuation errors, making sure the photos are in the right place. So there's support there for quite a while as far as assistance. I provide a national support as far as technical issues. If people have little building understanding, and they would just send me a message saying, hey, what's this? What's the problem with this? So we've got quite a few guys in the business that haven't had any building experience, and it's not a prerequisite. Queensland's the only state in Australia where you need a builder's license to do building inspections, and Resicert has that license, so we operate under that banner. So the short answer is no, you don't need building experience. It's definitely beneficial to the guys that do have that, because all it does, it gives you a lot more confidence when you first start.
And how physical is it?
Well, it's like, it can be quite physical. I would say that you would need to not have any restrictions as far as if you've got a height phobia or a confined space concern. We have to get in subfloors. There's a certain Australian standard where you're supposed to get in relation to heights and stuff. But again, it's a matter of if you don't feel safe doing it, you don't do it. It can be quite physical at times. You have subfloors that you need to crawl in, and you have to crawl all around underneath the house. So if you add up the meters you crawl around, sometimes it can be 150 meters doing a commando crawl. Other times you can get into a roof space where you can walk around freely, and other times you have to crawl around to identify what issues are there. And obviously on roofs can be a bit tricky too. So that you need to be reasonably flexible to do some of those tasks.
Excellent.
I would think would be the short answer.
So I'm just going to go through a couple of questions that are in the chat box. So it's going to
Sure.
be wishy-washy in what I'm asking, but is there a high or low season? When do inspectors normally take their break, and what happens in that scenario when they do take a break?
High or low season, the market at the moment is pretty high. I think you get in the real estate industry, the peak selling season is always spring, which we're heading into now. That's more active in the colder states, as in New South Wales, and definitely Victoria is more active. Excuse me. As far as taking holidays, it really depends up to the individual. You're obviously working for yourself, so you're not working, you don't get money coming in, which is obviously the biggest thing. But you have a network of inspectors in your city that you can refer those jobs to. A lot of the other inspection companies take Christmas off, and so therefore there's less jobs coming in, but a lot less inspectors to do them as well. So I tend to sort of not have Christmas off, as in a lengthy period, so that there's more opportunity there for guys that want to work through. So it's like any small business. You need to have holidays and take them when you can. Quieter times are probably February is probably our quietest month, I would think.
Right. And is there a minimum income guarantee? I can probably answer that. Yes.
You probably need to answer that one, yeah.
There is. If you buy a new territory, we give you 3 months income guarantee of $5,000 after you finish training. That's not the case if you were to buy a resale of an existing territory, but they do come with certain terms and conditions. So to learn more about that, let's have a one-on-one and I'll explain all of those for you there. If anyone's got any more questions, please drop them into the chat box. I am reading off a bunch of questions that people have already sent me, so I'll continue. Actually, no, we come in. The average income will be significantly affected by city-based business profile. A regional area where I am has a population of 100,000 and is spread across an area of 110,000 kilometres. How will this affect the income and business?
Well, we have quite a few guys in regional areas, and I think the regional areas work quite well because you tend to build closer relationships. Yes, you would need to travel more than city inspectors, but we have quite a number of regional inspectors who are doing those sort of numbers I spoke about. A guy in Gladstone does those sort of numbers. We have a guy in Townsville. We have regional Victoria too. So, yeah, I wouldn't consider that to be a major stumbling block.
Now, going into the reporting, the question that got thrown to us is, if an inspector is too thorough, maybe gains a reputation for being too honest about a house, is it a risk to gain referrals from agents, and in more extreme cases, agents steer clients away? How is a thorough job managed well?
Well, I don't think an agent's going to not refer someone for being thorough. I think in that case, they respect the fact that you are thorough, and we get that all the time, that we are thorough, because we have a set methodical approach to our inspections, and agents and clients tell us all the time we're thorough. I think you're more at risk of being on the other side of the brush where you're missing stuff and the agent's referred you, and you've missed stuff, so therefore his reputation comes into line for referring someone that doesn't do a good job. I don't think I've ever heard of an agent telling me I'm too thorough and they're not going to refer me work. Again, it's all about your relationship. If you're getting on well and they're a friend, and that's what tends to happen, Susana. I've been going, as I said, just on 8 years now, and a lot of my good referrals are classed as friends now. So I think the whole concern about doing a thorough inspection isn't really a concern. I'd be more concerned the blokes that don't do a thorough inspection getting referral work.
Going back into the financial questions, so what do you know in terms of the average return investment and the time period for franchisees to have made that? If you want to sort of share a bit of that,
Yeah, I think myself, I was about the 8 or 9 months from memory, which I think is about the average from what I've seen, which in any business is a pretty good return. Again, that's really dependent on how quick the franchisee gains traction, because obviously your business grows upon growth. So if they're slow to get traction in the start, that can then stretch out a bit.
And now in going to the training, we train one person. What happens if somebody wants to bring another person on board? What happens to that person? Can they do an inspection without being trained? Or worst case, can you manage a whole area on your own, being the only inspector?
Well, areas vary depending on how many referrers you have. I mean, you look at my area, I manage that regularly. Well, I manage it on my own. I also travel with the franchise doing interstate follow-ups with the guys I've trained, and while I'm away, the local inspectors around my area take on some of my jobs. So it's quite manageable to do that on your own. And if a inspector wants to bring on a contractor, for example, they would have to go through a training process through our training. Not all aspects of that. There's a certain amount of that training they have to do so they can be eligible to do inspections. So that is a possibility as well if your business has grown and you want somebody else to assist with that. Because the whole thing, Susana, is everyone's definition of what they want to be a successful business is different. We have inspectors that need to drop their kids off at school in the morning, so they can do that, work back at later in the afternoon to get their number of inspections up. Some inspectors are happy doing 2 inspections a day and playing golf in the afternoon. Some are happy doing 5 inspections a day and earning a big income. So it's a flexible business in relation to what you consider what your business to be successful is, really. If that answers anything.
I've got a question around insurances. How are you insured for this work? Do you have your own insurances, and how much do you spend on insurance?
Insurance is a bit of a tricky one where Resicert is self-insured. So what that means is that every inspector has a fee they pay, and that varies in relation to how many inspections they've done in the business going forward. Our claim rate in the business is second to none. I can't quote exact numbers, but it's very, very minimum from an industry standard, and it's a cost of doing business. Really, I can't recall exactly what it is, and as I said, I would pay less than some newer people because of the number of inspections I've done without a claim. Touch wood. So yeah, I would think that you'd have to elaborate more with people individually on that, Susana, rather than me coming out with a broad brush approach to it.
Very true. So I know I'm conscious of time, and we've just gone over for 3 minutes. I've got another 2 questions, and if anyone else has any, stop it. Otherwise, give it another couple of minutes and we'll be done. But what happens when you touched on this? You take some holidays. If you choose to go away, does somebody look after it? Can you share some, money, commissions, percentage?
Yeah. So that's negotiable between whoever's going away and whoever's doing the work. So they can get a lesser rate, and you would get, for want of a better word, a referral sort of percentage from that, which is pretty commonplace, really. I don't think guys that are going on holidays are so focused about making some money while they're away, but others are. So there's a negotiation potential there between the referring inspector or the holidaying inspector and the inspector that's going to cover his workload, so to speak. You find that once you've been around for a while, you tell your main referrers that you're going away, and they tend to try and load you up before you go or when you come back. That's my case. I'm going on holiday shortly, and I've already got bookings for when I come back. So it's an interesting process.
Yeah. And now the last question I have is, do you find other franchisees in your area? And how does it work when you do find other people working or doing the job in your area? What would you say to that?
We have a designated marketing territory is what you're buying. So nobody can market in your territory. They can do inspections in your territory, but it's one of those things where, because we're not a geographic referral, and what I mean by that is, yes, most agents work in a geographic area, but we have referrers that are conveyancers, mortgage brokers, word of mouth. So you can do an inspection anywhere. It's really just a matter of communicating that to whoever's area you are going to. And as I said, if you're over in that area and you meet an agent while you're doing a referral for Susana's brother or or whoever, you would talk to that agent, and if he shows interest in Resicert, you would then refer him to the local inspector there. And that's the way it works right round. If I would normally call the inspector and say, hey, I'm in your area on Friday, you got time for a coffee or whatever the case is. So you're not competing against other franchisees for inspections because you've got a designated marketing territory. And if the inspector's marketing in your territory, that's classed as a breach of agreement in simple terms.
And I have a really quirky question to ask you, so I left it to
Oh,
the
this will be good.
and I'm hoping it's okay for me to ask you this question, but I get asked all the time. It's a 30% versus a 70%. So what I mean by that is inspection fee is X, 30% head office keeps, 70% is paid out to franchise. In your opinion, do you think that that is too high? Is it worth it? Does it support you well for what you've done?
Well, it's pretty obvious. If I didn't like it, I still wouldn't be here. But that percentage is a small price to pay for all the behind the scenes stuff that goes on. Like as I addressed coming from my own business before, you have to have your systems in place to be able to get payments, do bookings and all that sort of stuff. So, you know, software, all of those things, advertising, corporate advertising, all those things. It's a huge machine behind the inspectors that's supporting the inspectors. And our inspectors make a good living. Some of them making a terrific living, myself included, and paying that 30% and not having to worry about following up Joe blogs for payment or the system's down, how do I book a job in? All those things are in place to get that rectified behind the scenes and keep the automated process going so we can do our jobs, which is doing inspections and building relationships. So I think that percentage is quite a worthy sort of percentage for what we get.
Amazing.
That'd be my shortness of it, yeah.
Well, thank you very much. I do have a few questions here, Keith and Chris.
Sure.
You have asked and Mandeep, those questions you've asked about finance, who do you choose, your own bank to go through, your own maximum, how much finance. Finance is something we don't get involved with, so I can speak to you on one-on-one. If you want to go and get loans with banks, pull out equity of your own home, that's completely between you and the finance people you go through. Keith, you asked questions about initial outlay, franchise costs, what are the ongoing costs? Andrew, you could tell people what the ongoing cost is because you've got it every single month, right? So what does that look like?
Well, the ongoing cost for the franchise is $549 in network support fees. And then it's just basically running your car. You've already got your tools off the trade, which isn't a huge expense either. Obviously, you've got your telephone and your internet and those sort of things behind the scenes. But as far as ongoing costs, business costs, it's pretty minimal.
Excellent. And then, Chris, you asked a question, what is the franchise commission rate? I think we spoke about that. It's the 30-70 split. So we look at it as becoming your 30% business partner in your business. And as Andrew mentioned, we take most of the brunt work for you, from looking after your IT, making sure that systems are always running, supporting you, making sure you're successfully making money, I guess, as well. So that's pretty much where that's what I consider a commission rate. But if it is anything and I haven't answered your question, just let me know. So I guess that's pretty much it. I really want to wrap this up. We've gone over 10 minutes and I'm conscious of everyone's time and everyone's got to go to have dinner. Thank you everyone for being here tonight, for joining us, for spending some time with us. If you do have any further questions which weren't answered tonight, please drop me an email. The email is susana@resicert.com, spelled SUSANA. You can always give us a call or reach out to us and book in a one-on-one. Happy to answer any questions. The next step I will go through with what that looks like. A lot of you have probably met myself or anyone else in our team, so feel free to just reach out to whoever your first point of contact is, and we can guide you through the next process. And thank you once again. Thanks, Andrew, for your time today and answering.
Welcome.
And
Good to
looking
chat.
chat with each and every one of you here today. See you, everyone.
Thank you.